Release the Kraken!
So I owe you guys an explanation.
So a little while back, I promised to tell you guys the meaning and origin of our logo. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. Why is there a bear? Why is there a bird? Why is the bird sitting on top of the bear's head? What the heck is the deal with your logo, man? Well, let me just start off by saying that our logo is really important to me personally. I designed it myself, I drew it myself. It really is a homemade logo. And so for just that reason alone, I'm very proud of our logo. But much like the cover of the Abbey Road LP, there's a ton of meaning buried in our logo too. So let me explain. So after Allison and I came up with the idea for the name of our farm, pairing both kind of our last name with the last name of the family that owned our farm for about 100 years, we then had to set out and come up with a snazzy logo design. The reason I say have to is I knew that I had to pretty quickly put a sign out in front of the farm. Our farm had sat abandoned for about 7 years or so after we bought it. And so we felt like we really needed to do something to, one, indicate to the community that somebody was going to live here and they were going to take good care of the place. And two, indicate to the good people at UPS and FedEx that we live here so that they would stop sending back our packages because they were saying that our place was abandoned. I mean, it sat abandoned for so long, I can't blame them, but I knew there was something that I had to do to breathe some life into it. So I broke out my best possible stencil and spray paint and I made this guy right here. But I guess I should back up first because before I could actually do that stencil, I had to design it. I started off by sketching out a number of different ideas and they looked all different. I had considered using the barn in our logo. The people who farmed here on our land before us, they actually had a logo that featured the barn. But I've got to admit, because I've always been sort of on the fence on whether or not we were going to keep the barn, it seemed like kind of a dumb idea to have the barn in the actual logo if we were just going to go ahead and tear down the barn. Luckily, I don't think we are tearing down the barn. With the barn being kind of one general idea, the other idea that I had was I knew I wanted to incorporate a bear, and a black bear specifically. You see, there are no grizzly bears here. We're in Vermont. The only type of bear that's native to here is the black bear. But the animal of the bear itself is sort of like my spirit animal. And as I've told you guys before in previous videos, I have a dream about how I want my life to end, and it involves a bear. So I knew for all of those reasons, I wanted to have a bear featured prominently in the logo. Now I know what you're wondering, well, then what's the deal with the bird? Well, a while back, Allison and I went on a trip to Africa. And while we were there, we did the whole safari thing and we were watching all sorts of different animals. But the two animals that we were most fascinated with were the rhinoceros and the oxpecker bird. For those of you that aren't aware of it, there's this symbiotic relationship between the oxpecker and the rhinoceros. The oxpecker sits on top of a rhinoceros on a regular basis and picks off bugs and insects that are embedding themselves into the rhinoceros. So it's this symbiotic relationship where the bird is getting its food source from the rhinoceros, and the rhinoceros is having these pesky insects removed from its body. For Allison and me, we found that to be a really kind of beautiful image, and that was the aspiration that we always had for our relationship and our marriage. This idea of us being these creatures that have this symbiotic connection and relationship and interdependency. So as I was working on ideas for the logo, I started to think about this metaphor, and for all the things that Allison and I wanted to build here at the farm, you know, wouldn't it be great if we could carry that metaphor forward? And so basically all I did was I subbed out the rhinoceros for the bear that I had so much passion for. And Allison liked to joke that, oh, that's exactly it. The logo is us. You're the bear and I'm the little bird. and so there you have it. As soon as we came up with that idea, we were like locked into it, and that's what we knew what we wanted to do. And just as a little side note, Allison often refers to me as a bear, one, because I'm really hairy, and two, because of the way that I open envelopes and packages. All right, t-shirts now available in kids sizes. So we went through a number of iterations for the logo design. What you actually see here is the first one. It actually looks a little bit more like a grizzly bear than a black bear, which was part of why I changed it. When I made this sign, I basically, sketched it out and then made a stencil out of cardboard and spray painted it on there. It's not the most professional looking sign in the world, but I really enjoy the punk rock aesthetic. So over time, I started to refine the logo. I simplified it a little bit, I streamlined it, I found a better font, but it's still exactly the same idea as what I'd originally sketched out in a notebook. I really appreciate all the positive feedback that you guys have been giving me about the logo and the look and design of it. Personally very proud of it. I've designed several logos over the years for various jobs that I've had, but it's the logo that I'm most personally proud of. And now that the ducks are finally starting to lay eggs, I will probably be putting this logo on various farm products really soon.